Welcome to another episode of Redesigning Your Relationships Live. I am your host, Giovanna Burgess-White.
And hello, I'm Yvette Valdenegro.
And we're excited to be here on part 3 of our mini-series. If you're watching us today and you're like, what are you talking about? Definitely go back to part 1 and part 2. We have been talking about our money laundering series. This one's gotten a lot of DMs and messages about like, oh my God, what are you guys talking about? But yes, your relationship with money, how important it is. Part 1, we really dove deep around scarcity and abundance mindset with money. Part 2, we talked about women in business and really how they have a money mindset and how that can benefit or it can also hurt your business. And today we decided to bring on an amazing guest. So before we bring her on, if you're watching us for the first time, welcome. If you're listening to us for the first time, welcome. We are relationship coaches and we are here to help you with the relationship itself, the relationship with time, and the relationship with money. So at any time, wherever you're watching or listening, there are links where you can connect with us. We can help you through this journey, and we are just really here to help you create an amazing relationship with yourself. And we're on every Wednesday, and you can listen to us every Friday. Did I miss anything?
Wow, breathe. No, all I'm going to say before we bring Sarah on is that we get on here, we give our wonderful opinions. I feel like today is going to be extra special because we see and hear about money mindsets. We help coach, walk people through, helping them transform just their own thoughts about money and maybe some things that could be stopping their abundance from flowing in. I think it's great today that we actually have an expert on the actual concept of money, so we can ask her whatever. And it's not just Gio and Yvette talking. It's someone who really has an expertise behind them to back what probably we see all the time. So It's going to be great.
Yeah. And the great thing about this is that if you're watching live, awesome. If you're watching the replay, awesome. Ask the questions. We will get them to Sarah. She will reach out to you as well. And if there's any questions, she does virtual connects as well, connection calls. So let's bring Miss Sarah Ziese on. Welcome, Sarah.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
We're so excited that you're on our show, closing out our mini series. I know that we've known each other for a while. And every time someone asks about wealth, money, finance, I'm like, ooh, Sarah has the answers.
I so much appreciate that. And I so much appreciate what you guys do here through your platform and through your podcasts. It's really empowering, especially for the women that you guys serve on the regular. So thanks for that.
And we would love for you to just kind of introduce yourself to your guests or to our guests and tell them, who you are, what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Sarah Ziese. I am, if you were to call me something, you'd call me a financial advisor. I don't typically, the two of you guys know that, I don't typically introduce myself that way, simply because it just comes with a boatload of assumptions. And a lot of times those assumptions are seated in stereotype. And really, we have to do a better job as an industry in educating the non-financial public on how their money actually works. So that's who I am and what I do.
I love it. Yeah, and I love that we're having this conversation because you've been part of one of our masterminds. We talked about this with, an amazing group of women, how money has always been taboo to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about it, but nobody wants to ask the questions. And then we meet with these amazing community of women that are 40 and up, and they're really just not as educated as they need to be. Mm-hmm. And they don't even know where to start. I think that's like one of the things. And now that, in 2023, after everything that's happened, after all the things that we've gone through, I think it's really important to have this platform to educate women, especially women in business, but not just for the future, like what they can be doing like right now. And I think money is like an overwhelming concept and word, and we're kind of going to be those disruptors and be like, hey, money makes the world go round. I mean, that time and money, like that's something that we're never going to be able to take away. So hopefully with this conversation and these questions and you just talking about what you know best, it's going to help women really start to understand that the more comfortable they are with that relationship, the easier it's going to be for them to receive and have that abundance mindset.
Absolutely.
Gio, I love when we get on these because Gio just goes on from topic to topic to topic to topic. I'm like, I know she sat and thought about this all morning long. Because you know what, like she said, it's really an important topic. Mm-hmm. The thought process of people don't talk about it. There's such an embarrassment or a shame, or the thought that like we really went through just mindsets and how people think about money. And thinking about money, the first step is just communication.
Mhm.
you know? So let's just kind of start from the very beginning. Where does someone really start when they're around 40 and they start going, you know what, I do need to start thinking about retirement or my future or savings, and I'm acquiring wealth. But like Gio said, I don't even know where to turn or where to go, because like you said, there's so many different terms out there for what people do.
Absolutely. So in regards to that, if somebody is looking for assistance in navigating the space, they should consult a professional of some kind, regardless if they feel like they're ready for it or not. That is one of the major misconceptions in the industry is, hey, I don't have enough money. I can't talk to anybody. And the reality is that yes, there are advisor groups and there are firms out there that won't talk to you unless you have a certain amount of assets or a certain number of dollars to invest. But there are groups like ours out there that are willing to lay the foundation and educate people as what's the best path forward. Because when we're laying a foundation, that not only includes, where should we save for the future, but there's a lot of merit as you're starting to make money. Where should I put it now? How much should I have in savings? How much should I have to protect myself and my business, from a defensive planning perspective? There are so many facets of that it depends on every situation. But my biggest piece of advice there is ask and start looking for answers before you think you need them.
Okay, so I'm just kind of curious because, again, going back to mindset, do you kind of see a pattern, whether it's the years gone by, right? Just even the past 5 to 10 years of how people think about money. And then are you seeing any kind of shift? Like when you're sitting down with a woman, a man, a couple, are there certain things that you just keep resonating that people just say over and over?
Yeah, there's a ton of things that people say over and over. A ton of people will say things like, man, I wish I would have started this sooner. I wish I would have known you sooner. I wish I would have talked to you sooner. But a lot of the things that I hear from women often that I think are something we really have to attack is my husband handles all of that. And while I do think that it is important, usually there is one spouse who has a little bit stronger handle in the financial space. It just really, I'm not going to say it frustrates me because I understand where the sentiment comes from, but it concerns me for women who don't have at least a handle or an understanding of how their finances are structured, just from a pure protection standpoint. I mean, God forbid your spouse passes away too soon, and statistically men are supposed to pass away before women, and you've got no idea where your dollars are sitting. That is a really difficult space to navigate on that back end. But also, I mean, in our day and age, relationships are ending all of the time. And if you've had no involvement, that also is a really tangled web to unweave.
Yeah. God, that's not, I feel like that this is like in general with women. We are kind of in the entrepreneurial space, and women that have businesses or run businesses or work for or companies. And even that percentage of women haven't thought about their wealth now, wealth the future. Some of them still maybe having, their partner or spouse. So that's one side of it. And then you have women who aren't in that space who, again, I mean, the societal belief of like, well, I'm married, I don't work, I'm a stay-at-home mom. That I think they're both concerning because they're both, they should know. But I think that's like the education piece of like, where do I start, or how to have the conversation? Because every time we talk about money, I feel like 99.9% of the time, the feeling behind it is overwhelmed, stress, like almost kind of like throwing up in your mouth because people are like, I don't even know how to have that conversation with my spouse.
Yeah.
So I know you see a lot of couples, but do you see women who are kind of coming out and going like, I need to know more. I need to understand. What are those types of conversations that you're seeing?
Absolutely. Those types of conversations really center around, hey, what is your background and what do you need help with first? What are you trying to understand? Because I mean, that is such a wide range. There are some women that I work with, more on an individual basis, and they have a lot of background and experience in saving. They're good savers. They have a little bit of understanding of how the tax code works, things like that. And there are others that just have had no experience, and growing up, their parents didn't teach them very much about how to save or where to put dollars or how to spend well, how to budget. And then in those conversations, they just start out a little bit different. But it kind of runs across the board. Did that answer your question? I feel like I went on a tangent a bit.
Oh, no, I think it helps. Like if you're a woman listening to this right now, no matter what season in life you are and you have no idea where to start, I think that helped going like just write down like what it is that you're wanting or
Mhm.
need or thinking that you need. And like you said, it could be like I have a great amount of savings and I don't know what to do, or I budgeted this much this year, and then like what should I be budgeting the next 5 years? We've talked
Right.
about Yvette and I have talked about this with especially with the business. Like obviously women don't even budget for their business. They don't have a marketing budget. They don't have a personal growth and development budget. But we talked about this in our mastermind. It was like, you have to budget life. And part of life is not just, doctor, like the health part of it. It's also like the wealth part of it. And, even if you're a woman, and you're like, I have no idea where to start. It's the conversation of like, what should I be doing with the amount of money, with the assets that I have? And what is the game plan? Like you said, you're laying the foundation. So writing down those questions, it may be 2 or 3 will probably lead into a deeper conversation. And then obviously getting the tools and resources that they need. And I know your company and you do a lot of financial education, which I think you also have to take the time. This is where we go back. Like, it's not going to just fall in your lap and you're going to get a book and you're going to be able to learn everything about money. You have to take time out of your schedule to learn and figure out like what are the best options for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's crazy how, well, one, I think that fear
Yeah, absolutely.
Fear of having it, fear of losing it, fear of what to do with it, fear of how to control it. I mean, all those fear factors, or what if I don't have something? So I know a lot of people who, we just was working with people that the concept is really like, well, it's so big, so uncontrolling that I'm just scared of it. So therefore I'm going to kind of ignore it and hope that it just goes away. And then when I get older, it just kind of all works itself out, that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the other thing too is embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like people are embarrassed to say where they really are financially, whether it's in their own mindset, whether it's with their bank account or their knowledge, or they could have millions of dollars sitting in the bank and still be embarrassed about something.
Absolutely.
But for whatever reason, people just, it's like they just keep pushing it, back to the side. So go ahead.
I was going to say, it's just so interesting how so many financial decisions can be made very black and white. Like I can show you mathematically on paper what you should do. However, there is such an emotional side tied to money that it doesn't matter how much math I put in front of you. Some people will not take some of those action steps just because of the emotion or the childhood things that have been ingrained in our brain. Yeah, trauma, we'll call them trauma, how that's affected them over time. And so it's a really interesting space to be in, is recognizing both the logical and the emotional side to financial planning.
I want to go through some financial planning myths, because I know there's a lot out there, like things that people think versus things that actually happen. And I know you can tell us that, but like one of the things that people always say, having a financial advisor is like super expensive, like it's going to cost me so much money. So let's go down that road, because I know it's not, but people don't even make that step because they're already thinking that that's the way it is.
Right. And that's quite frankly, I mean, why I don't typically introduce myself as a financial advisor, because that is one of the assumptions that gets made so often. And yes, there are advisors out there who plan for a fee, and sometimes those fees are astronomical. There are advisors like us out there that provide all of the education and the consultations with no charge. And the way we get paid is completely different. It's upon plan implementation, depending on what we're using. And so you don't necessarily need hundreds of thousands of dollars to plan, because it doesn't work that way. But you're right. The industry has such a stigma, I guess, that it's just going to cost an arm and a leg. And the reality is, in some cases it might, but if you're working with a professional who doesn't structure their fees that way, and really understands that that's coming directly out of the client pocket and trying to maximize the dollars that they have to spend, then you know that cost is greatly reduced or eliminated.
Yeah. I feel like the easiest example for hiring a financial advisor is the same way when you go buy a house. Like not many people are ready to just go buy a house, have a deposit to put down, understand what the tax rates are going to be. So the realtors or the brokerage companies who put in the time and the education may have that client a year before,
Mhm.
2 years before, and say, hey, you need to get your credit repaired. You need to have this much amount of money. You need to be thinking about this much in savings. And they know that client is going to come stay with them through the process. It's like you're courting your ideal client a year to 2 years. So you may be meeting with, Sarah or anyone on her team, and it's like, okay, you may not be ready to have this amazing portfolio and do all the things, but you have a whole year to 2 years to have a game plan,
Mhm.
feel comfortable for, again, whatever season or journey you're in, to where this is like an ongoing relationship. You're never just leaving them. And it's
Absolutely.
creating the opposite of what you're feeling right now. So if it's a fear, if it's like not overwhelm, the understanding is like how you are there to help them create the opposite feeling so that they do have a good relationship with money, so they can pass that down if they have children, if they can't, in their surroundings, to where it's like money is it's a great thing. It
Mhm.
really we can't do anything in this world without it. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think another myth, I know I was like this for a couple of years, not wanting to talk about money with someone who understands money more than me, because I thought, oh my God, they're just going to say, budget this, budget that, save, 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 and make you feel like even more constricted,
Mhm.
which was completely the opposite of what happened. It actually is more freeing, because when you know exactly where it's going, then
Mhm.
you think, okay, this is a better idea than it's funny how we tell ourselves things that are not even true.
Right.
And whether it's the fear of I'm going to lose it all, or the fear of someone's going to tell me I can't have it, it's like
Yeah.
it's like you can't win, for losing on both sides. But so, are there any other fears that you think? I mean, there was lots of them that you'd want to just address or mention now. Maybe even some that are particularly around for women.
Well, I want to go back to something that you just said, Yvette, was the idea that, man, if I sit down with a financial advisor, somebody who knows more than me, they're going to tell me that I need to save like every penny. And the reality is, like, that is a little bit my job. Like, I'm supposed to tell you need to save more. We all should be saving more. I mean, I'd say probably half the people, if not more, that I talk to are behind in their savings. And if you've got kids, you're probably further behind because you just bleed money when you have children,
Mm-hmm.
But if I can give you some guidelines and say, man, from a budget perspective, if you can keep your bills within about 50% of your income, you can save about 20%. Now, where that 20% goes, that's a different conversation. But then you can have the fun with 30%. You are more likely going to stick to that plan than, hey, you've got your bills at 50%. You've got to save the other 50% because you just are not on track.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a balance of both. And yes, the advisor's job is really, my job is really to push you and encourage you to save a little bit more so that you set yourself up for better, but it cannot compromise today. I mean, we just don't know how long we have.
Right.
And so we can't sacrifice everything today for tomorrow, but we also can't sacrifice everything tomorrow to just live in the now. We've got to prepare for both.
Yeah.
That's finding that balance. And I think
Absolutely.
to me, it's like, look, this whole conversation around money wasn't to scare anybody. It's really to open up the doors and be like, I need to be more conscious about the relationship that I have, and how can I find a happy medium.
Mhm.
The closer and closer we get to balance, and like you said, it can be such a small change. Like we've done that here in the house. It's like, okay, in the summer things change. We're like, it's a whole different schedule, and so we're like, how do we balance just the going out, the doing the things? But there's seasonal changes.
Mhm.
So the following year it's better, and the following year it's better. So I think if anybody gets anything from the series and from today, is like, we are here to help you create balance. We're not trying to go from the negative to positive overnight, but it's finding that happy medium, and that you can breathe, because we see it, we hear it, we talk to our clients. Money and time are like the two most, it's like they put it on the back burner. It's like, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money. I'm like, but you can't keep on living life saying that. Like, it's a trifecta. You, time. And so I think that this is just, even this conversation is just, it's easy. Like, we've been excited about this series. And I think this is going to open up the doors for women to call you and say, hey, like, where do we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it really is baby steps. Like, it seems like, what's the phrase? Like, you can only eat the elephant one bite at a time. The financial planning is the same. I mean, we've got an end goal we're trying to shoot for, but if we're not saving anything and we've got to figure out where to start, we cannot swallow the whole elephant. Is that the metaphor? I think it is, right? Sure.
We'll make it.
Yeah. One bite. Yeah, it is. Small bites. Small bites. We'll just go small bites. Metaphors are not my forte, just math. Okay, you guys?
Funny. That's funny. Well, before we wrap it up, I mean, is there any other, especially particularly to women, that you maybe see mindset wise, or that you really just want to encourage all of us women in?
I just want to encourage women to just reach out to the resources that you have, especially as business owners. It can feel a little bit lonely. And there are a lot of powerful women doing really powerful things that are experts in the things that you are not an expert in. And surrounding yourself with those women really will set you up for extreme success, because we cannot do all of the things ourselves. We think we can. Let's not ignore that fact. But the more we can rely on those that have expertise in different areas, just makes everything run so much smoother and just creates so much more success for all of us.
Okay, I have a big question. It just came to my mind because the way you just said that, I was like, okay, let's just say I'm listening right now, and I hear everything you just said, and I go, I'm a business owner. I'm struggling financially. I don't know what to do. But the thought, again, the fear comes in, the unknowns. I'm exposing my financial situation to someone. But really, it's the thought of also, okay, that might cost money, right, to get the experts. So what is your thought process about the mindset of, if you're struggling because you don't have, and you're not where you want to be in your business or your life or whatever, but yet you know it's going to cost something to get expert advice or help. Now, in your head, you're thinking, I'm going back into deficit.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge fear and concern for not only women, but just business owners in general. Absolutely. And just people in general. However, I would advise them, I guess, to shift their mindset and do not see it as a bill. You are literally investing in yourself and investing in your business when you get an expert involved. That gives you more time. Let's say it's a florist shop. I cannot put flowers in a vase to save my life. That is not my expertise. I would imagine the florist can't do what I do for them. Let me do that so that they can go take all the time that they need to find better flowers, to gather customers, to put money towards marketing or put time towards marketing. That time is so valuable in all of our lives, especially as business owners and mothers. And we have to just shift the thinking that it's an investment in yourself and your business, not an extra bill you're adding to your life.
And we can wrap that up in a bow. That is literally the conversation we have.
That's the sound bite we're going to be using over and over and over.
Well, we are again so thankful. We made this easy. I love talking to you, being around you educating all of our communities, because it doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels like, okay, this is where I can get started. This is how I can do things. The other thing is, we are our own worst enemy in all of these relationships, money, time, ourselves. So it does also take time for you to go, okay, where do I want to be in the next 6 months, in the next year? Baby steps, not in 5-10 years. We may not even have that. So thank you for being on. We will have so if you're watching or if you're listening and you want to jump on a connection call with Sarah, we will have her link in there. If you're like, Gio, I'm not even ready to do that, we have a link for us that we can help you with this relationship with money. But we are here to support you, educate you. I know Sarah and her full team at the Fitzpatrick Group. Yep, did I say that right?
You did, yeah.
Are available. And if you're not local, because a lot of people are like, oh, not in Houston, it doesn't matter. Everything can be done virtually. So thank you for coming on and being with us. We really appreciate you wrapping up our series.
No, thank you guys so much for having me. I enjoyed it.
All right, well, we're gonna put you backstage and we'll close out our show. Wow.
So good. I'm serious. That's going to be our new soundbite. And I used to do it all the time. I'd be like, I can't invest in myself.
Yeah.
That's money gone instead of seeing it as an investment. You're investing in your future, kind of like when you go to college, right?
Exactly.
But,
It's crazy.
and that's so easy for people to do. It's like, oh, I'll take out $1 million or loan just to go to 4 years of school and then pay it back for the rest of my life. That's an investment. You just invested in yourself.
So your wedding. It's crazy how everything else is like, oh, I can do that. And I'm like, this is the gift that keeps on giving.
Cars.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we did this. I know that it's like a very short mini series, but I think it's going to open up the door. So again, if you're listening out there, you're a woman, you're like, I need help. We are here to help you, Yvette and I, to really work on the relationship with money. And if you're like, nope, I'm ready to jump into like really start saving and understanding and learning about my financial plan, we will have that link available for Sarah and her team. So
yes. And if you were listening to this and you were like, I think I need a little more deep dive, then go back to part 1 and 2. It's all going to come full circle for you.
Yes. And again, we're on every Wednesday live, and you can hear this episode every Friday where you listen to podcasts. Until next week, bye.